Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Oh, not too bad.
Sam, that's you at the 353-4190.
Yes, it is.
Good there. Happy New Year to y'all. Andrew,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Amanda. We'll have to wait a few minutes to make sure we can hopefully get a quorum. Check out participants. Beautiful day today, huh? Nice and warm.
Today was. I'm not looking forward to like tomorrow night and Friday.
I am definitely looking forward to tomorrow night and Friday because I have ice to make from our ice rink, so it's gonna be prime ice making weather. Prime ice making weather. Tim just joined us. Hey, Tim. All right, we're getting closer. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. We can start the meeting. Sandra. Okay, she just sent me a text. I'm going to send her a link. As I get older, I have to walk myself like talking out loud through technology. So, not you all, but that's where I'm at. Andrew, you're from Chittenden, right, Andrew?
I am.
Okay, I'm just gonna put your name after you. I'll put your town name after your Chris's Hubbardton. We should have Goshen coming on the line here shortly. You guys hear it? Oh, there we go. There's Ben with Matt. Oh, all right. All right. Okay, I'll just wait for Goshen to show up, and we will be rock and roll.
Goshen's here.
Goshen's here. Oh, okay. I didn't see you. That's weird. It didn't show up on my. Didn't show up on my thing. Oh, Ben. Okay, all right. I'm gonna rename you. I was like, I saw Ben was here. I was like, oh, Ben decided to show up for the meeting. All right. Okay. I'll rename you Cassandra. All right. I'm gonna close. So time is 5:03. We'll get started since we do have a quorum. Call the meeting of the Otter Creek Communications Union District to order. We will do a roll call. I think we've got everyone here. One representative from each town. I don't think we need to go through it. We've got one from each town. So assuming you guys are all voting for your towns. So through unanimous consent, we'll approve the roll call. Move on to approval agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion, Chris Custer, to approve the agenda as it is.
I can second it.
All right, Andrew with the second. Any discussion, modifications? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 To be unanimous. Agenda is approved. Next up, we have new member approval. The town of Paulet has apparently voted and submitted paperwork to become a member of the CUD. So we entertain a motion to accept them into our CUD.
I'll
Amanda
make a
moves,
motion.
or I'll
Man-
second Andrew's motion.
And Andrew with the first. Amanda the second. Any discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Congratulations, Paulet.
Alright.
Also, yeah, that's right. We're growing, getting larger. Our area grows with our power. Actually, and so this moves into the next bit of our agenda. We have the CUD Accelerator Program. This has been a program that Amanda and I have been talking about that we knew was going to be happening as a training program for the for CUD members. And we have paperwork on it. And the first meeting is February 1st, from 5 to 6:30. It'll be subsequent Mondays. We can only have 4 people from each CUD. However, all of our members of every CUD are invited to the first meeting, which is kind of a nice, synopsis of what CUDs are. Talking about financing, covers a bunch of different things: CUD structures and policies, state broadband policy, planning, design, and construction. It's just a really nice sort of, we've got some
What are
good
we doing?
information. I'm sorry. Yeah, everything we're
But
doing,
a
right?
nice summary of what are we doing?
Yeah, that weird thing. So if I know that I plan on attending all of the meetings, and I know Amanda plans on attending. Everyone's welcome to go to the first meeting, but we need 2 other representatives. There's 2 other spots if people are interested in attending those other meetings.
I would
So,
like to, Bill.
Okay, all right, Cassandra, we got 1 more spot.
And I can also not attend if someone else wants to. I can request recordings because I'd really like board members if you have interest to attend.
Yeah, I'll check it out and see what the first one's like and then decide if that's all right.
That'd be awesome, and that'd be great. Like, I'd really encourage everybody, and even maybe your alternates as well, to just attend this first meeting that talks about, just general what CUDs are and how the internet works and those kind of things. It looks like it's gonna be worth attending that first section. And there's a question and answer section listed for the end for 25 minutes. So
Can you repeat the date and the time for that, Bill, please?
yes, it's February 1st, and it's 5 to 6:30 p.m. It'll be by way of I believe a Zoom meeting. And I'll forward on the accelerator program paperwork, so you just have the
Okay, thank you.
breakdown from week to week.
Will that have like a phone call to call into as well for audio?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they going to provide recordings for that for the other members that would want to watch those recordings, or?
I really
My-
hope so. I'll be requesting it.
Yeah, thank you, because,
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't they, right? I mean, the more people that watch it, the better.
Yeah.
All right.
It seems relatively easy in this day and age now to record Zoom meetings and post them online. And if I can, who told me, maybe it was Amanda or somebody else, being able to watch them at 2 times speed and listen to them is fantastic. Fantastic. Well, good. So we've definitely got for sure 3 that are online for doing all 9 weeks, possibly a 4th spot, and maybe even a 5th spot if Amanda jumps out. But we're request that they record it and that it's made available. We'll post links to it on our website. So that's great, fantastic. And again, but encourage any of your alternates that want to attend the program. I'll forward this on after the meeting, the accelerated program information that breaks down each week. So moving on to agenda item number 5, financial update, treasurer, bookkeeper recruitment. We have on the line somebody who's said they would step up to be a bookkeeper and treasurer. And they've submitted a resume to Amanda and I. They look really good. There's somebody that's familiar with municipal bookkeeping, has extensive background in finance, does municipal bookkeeping right now at the town of Brandon. Worked at a bank for years, has done some good work. Is also willing to volunteer some time as they are in one of our areas. They're a resident of Sudbury. Her name is Jackie Zavella. And yeah, I mean, by statute right now, our temporary treasurer we have, because I couldn't hold both positions, is Mary Ann, but she was willing to give it up. So I don't know if there's any motions that people want to make about appointing a treasurer who doesn't have to be a member of the committee, but can be a member of the executive committee, but doesn't have to be a general member of, a representative from a town. It can be a member of the executive committee and can serve as bookkeeper.
I vote in favor of bringing Jackie on board to support the CUD. Thank you, Jackie.
You're very welcome. I kind of
I'll second that
volunteered
motion.
myself, and Bill helped me with that somehow. He tends to do that.
Well, she reached out talking about how, they're just struggling and stuff. I mean, again, we all have these stories, right, of talking to people in our communities about how the internet's terrible. I was home for a week with my kids and nobody
Yeah.
could get on and people were getting kicked off. And
Yeah,
it's like,
constantly getting kicked off, and I used, 9 gigabytes of mobile hotspot because right now that is our only internet at home. Yeah. So what do you do? You just
so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anybody have any questions? All right. If not, all those in favor of appointing Jackie to the position of treasurer and bookkeeper for the CUD signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Guys, we have it. Ayes do have it. Congratulations, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
Nice. And so that we're getting really close on our executive committee to be able to actually have a meeting. We got Amanda, myself, Jackie now that's on the executive committee. 2 other members. I know I've spoken with Andrew and Tim, Chris, potentially, if you guys wanted to join the executive committee. It's 1 extra meeting a month, and it's a little more in depth. We'd meet probably the day of or the day before each of our meetings, and as needed, as we need to make some more decisions about some reviewing contracts and those kinds of things. So if anybody has any interest, we'd really like to be able to at least have 5 people be on this this executive committee by statute. So
I would be happy to do it.
Thank you.
I nominate Andrew Quinn for the executive committee. Any seconds?
Second that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Bill, I'm also interested.
Okay, excellent. All right. So would anybody want to make an amendment to my motion?
Can I just do another motion? Or
Sure.
I move to approve. Is that
Move to
Cassandra?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, we have two motions hanging out on the floor. I mean, we got 3 units. We're just 6 of us, 7 of us. It's approved. Signify by saying aye.
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 We're approved. Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, Andrew, for stepping up. Again, this makes it now we can have executive committee meetings, which is wonderful. It gets us really to a point where we can start doing some business. And that leads us into CARES Act update. Amanda.
Well, we did wrap up the last year's worth of funding. Everything's been reported and submitted back to the state. So we're good to go on any of their contractual obligations. We are still on hold, waiting to hear back from the state as to whether or not or how we'll be able to access the remaining CARES funds. So pretty much with any possible state-oriented funding, it is all on hold. That said, the governor's address yesterday was very positive in terms of what he would like to put towards broadband. I don't know if any of you saw that or read about it. 16 million for rural deployment. I think it was 1.5 to support CUDs. And then there was a couple million to support other programs in that line. But again, all that has to be approved. But all to say that there is a lot of support at the state level from different branches. And here's to hoping it all coalesces into money for us to do work soon. So.
Yep. what seems like the immediacy too. I mean, like Amanda and I said on, we had a legislative testimony a week ago, was it? It's all runs together in front of the House Energy Committee. And again, it seems like they're all sort of, every legislator that we talked to is keyed in on figuring out a way to make this work, and that CUDs, are the hope and helping push this along. So it's exciting that there's money coming.
A little exciting also, we should have more tangible updates come next month, considering what the committees have all proposed individually, and then the governor, hopefully they can come together and agree on something. Whether it could also include, though, additional funding for VITA, which is one of our primary sources that we're looking at for loan funding, but that'd be more for an infrastructure phase work, but also providing incentives for CUDs to cooperate, not necessarily merge, but to enter into cooperative agreements to increase our market and bidding power. Just to prep for that, in case that those incentives, whatever they might be, come to fruition, we are reaching out to neighboring CUDs, Maple or Addison County, and Southern Vermont or Bennington County, to see what a cooperation might look like, especially if once we bring on wells, hopefully, and working on engaging in that on that communication. But we would have the western border there connected in terms of towns that have joined a CUD. So we're working on increasing continuity along those lines. This is an FYI.
Fantastic.
Sorry,
anybody
that
have
was probably TMI.
No, it's a lot of information. It's fantastic information. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Moving on, grant updates. We still have the money left over from the Vermont Community Foundation grant, and we actually had a meeting earlier today with the grant folks, just crossing their T's and dotting their I's and seeing what they can do to help support us, and also make sure that we're doing good work by their donation. And I think they seem to be happy with what we've been doing so far, and have talked about helping us out with what was the term they were using, Amanda? Our measurements, our thresholds of our
Benchmarks.
benchmarks. There we go, benchmarks that we can, helping us create benchmarks to gauge our success in.
They asked what we thought our benchmarks were. It's like, well, if you know how this is supposed to be done, we're all ears. Please tell us how to do it. Until then, we're still trying to figure this out. So it was a good meeting. Otherwise, they took that response well. But yeah, no, we're keeping our ear to the ground in terms of additional funding, whether it's Vermont Community Foundation or state funds or federal. That also might be another option, because there is discussion of that at that level. So we're working on it. But yeah, we still have $20,000 that the RPC is the fiscal sponsor for the CUD until it establishes its own bank account. And thanks to having Jackie on board, that brings us one step closer to having that. So we do have some discretionary funds, but we obviously need more. We will be working on our business plan, or have started that since our feasibility study has been approved. And all of that to mean we are working towards those steps where we do apply for more funding.
Yeah, and if you go to the CUD, the accelerator program, you'll hear, I guess, maybe a redux of some of those steps. And then if you graduate on to be one of those 4 people that represents our CUD or listen to the recording, it'll go through a lot of the structure stuff that we're still figuring out. It goes into real in-depth information about, what is, how CUDs built, financing, state broadband policy, planning, design, and construction, getting us closer to actually throwing some cable up in the air, or some cable, some glass, right? I think glass cabling.
It's glass technically.
Yeah. So again, it's exciting. We're getting really close. Getting closer. Our next agenda item is a contract with Rutland Regional Planning Commission. I'd move that we set this aside because we're not quite at a point yet of coming up with a contract.
Yeah, no, we're not. All to say is that the RPC is donating a lot of time, and it's just not sustainable. Other CUDs have engaged in contracts with their RPCs. I'm also hoping to wait until we know what funding is going to be available from the state. But definitely want to keep supporting and can volunteer time to a point, but it's just we need to enter into a contract for hours over a certain threshold.
Which
So
makes
do we need to
absolute
make a
sense.
motion?
No, it's on hold. I
Oh, okay.
have been tardy in drawing up the contract.
Stop it.
So I do need to work on that, but it's gonna need to happen for viability's sake.
Yeah, you haven't been tardy. You've been overwhelmed and doing fantastic work on behalf of the CUD for free. So moving on to new our VCUDA update, which is the Vermont Communication Union District Association.
There's not a whole lot of new. There's just been a lot of go-between. I think most recently the meeting was used to plan for each CUD's report out to the legislature, which was very good, helping them understand what our needs are. But there's not significant updates from VCUDA at this juncture that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and they're also doing a good job with advocacy. Right? They came up with a good list of, you know, it was a nice presentation. All the CUDs presented, and then we had as a group, you know, a legislative agenda that we presented to them about some of our wants and needs, which included, you know, trying to compel incumbent providers, you know, like your Comcast and your Consolidateds, and having to, you know, work more closely with us. That's one of our asks. So hopefully that'll happen. New member recruitment. You got contacts in other towns that aren't a part of our communications union district. You want to try and work them, we welcome you to do so.
And if you haven't signed up on the outreach platform, it helps us with the business planning that we'll be launching into, having numbers and actual interest. So we can send that back out in an email, but it would really help if you or whomever you know that has need for higher quality internet signs up on that. So it does help with our business planning.
Yeah, if you could please send that out again, that would be great.
Yeah, happily. Thank you.
Pretty easy to find, and then, you know, it's pretty cool, and we've gotten some pretty decent response. We got to stay ahead of some of the other CUDs as far as numbers go. So
Yeah.
competitive.
So Bill, I was on the economic meeting in Castleton last Thursday, and what I was told that Consolidated is going to put fiber in from basically Fairhaven on 4A through to the eastern side of Castleton.
Yeah, that was going to be part of our other business.
Oh, okay.
But you mentioned, no, it's all good. No, it dovetails nicely into that segue. Yeah, well,
we were
heard
able to
that.
have a meeting once we reached out, and we did hear, I think Bill was listening to their legislative testimony, and that's how we found out as well. Last week. So it sounds like the timeframes all line up as well. But yeah, we heard they'll be building out a fraction of addresses, a fraction meaning they didn't say they'd be doing 100%. And that's also part of the game is they build out the most concentrated areas, and that's normal. It's not a slight. But building out certain addresses in Rutland City, West Rutland, Rutland Town, Poultney, Proctor, Pittsford, Castleton, Brandon, Fairhaven, and Pittsfield.
Oh, okay.
So our job, since this is news and it does have an impact on our feasibility study and the business plan we're developing, will be to how most effectively and strategically, quickly overall, connect that. They're putting in a network. We want people to be connected, but we need to fill the gaps. So that is absolutely critical, is that we fill in those areas that are not being built out.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're going to send out a newsletter with some of this information, and we were asked to wait until they gave us their marketing info. We're still waiting for that. But they gave it as public testimony at this rate. So please feel free to share that. I just haven't put it in a newsletter because of that request.
yeah, it is public. So, and I mean, if they follow through, it'll make our job easier,
Right.
or, I mean, well, easier, maybe not more feasible, but it'll certainly make it easier if they do what they say they're going to do and they build out that fiber, then that leaves us to fill in, places where, that are a little less concentrated, but maybe there'll be some more money potentially to make that happen. Maybe.
Like Goshen and Mendon, nestled right between two major build outs. So that's substantial, and it would get us a lot farther for those areas.
They have 6 years to complete this plan.
No, they announced that they're going to be doing that this year. They did receive funding through RDOF. If you remember us talking about that, the FCC auction, and that's for work starting in 2022. I don't know how they're going to be managing their funds for those build outs, but they have 140 million of their own money earmarked for fiber build outs in Vermont alone this year.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's as close to details as we can get. So if you hear something like Tim at the meetings, if they gave you actual locations in Castleton or certain roadways, like that's information we're not privy to. We would probably as a board need to sign a non-disclosure agreement to get any further information. And that's something as a board we would need to discuss and agree upon.
Yeah, I think, there were certain details about locations where they were planning on doing that in Castleton, so.
I mean, I'm buoyed by the fact that, that they're making these public announcements in legislative testimony, as well as, meeting with local municipalities. I mean, no sure way to bring out the pitchforks is to, to promise this and not deliver. So, I mean, again, that for me gives me a little bit of hope anyways, that, the heat is on and it looks like they're responding with, some significant cash infusion and gonna maybe build out. If they're meeting with Castle, if they're meeting with Fairhaven, if they're legislative testimony, like that's a positive thing, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But we're to stay on top of that. Certainly, that's going to definitely again change potentially what our business plan looks like. But we will forge on. We are here to make it happen. Every address. Was there something else? Incumbent providers, consolidated.
So the thought process there is that if they do move forward with this, we kind of move into more leveraging what they're doing to fill in the gaps where there's not high enough density for them to cover.
Yeah, and
All right.
the CUDs can offer advantages that the state is discussing, such as if a private company partners with the CUD, then they receive tax breaks on the poles in the areas that the CUD covers. And that's no small thing. That would be huge and hugely incentivizing. So that is part of something VCUDA, I think, is working to support. Rob Fish at Department of Public Service is drafting up the value add for private companies to partner with CUDs. Like what overall could the incentives be? And it would be maybe tax breaks in public right of ways, or we have access because of our municipal designation to certain funding that a private company is not privy to. So we're working on being creative with that. And the likelihood would be some kind of public-private partnership. So we'll see what that looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
But it also, too, it doesn't tie us to having to work with them either. I mean, like, that's
Right.
Yeah. We had another company reach out like, hey, Matrix Technologies. I don't know if they're an ISP. I think they might just be a contractor. It's like, this is the work we do, and they have worked with other CUDs. But they had 3 set criteria. It's like, if you think you meet these criteria, we'd like to have a discussion with you. And I can forward any of you that email, but I did respond that I kind of have a heavy workload. So if you look at your criteria in the publicly available information, I would be looking at to evaluate that criteria. And you let me know if you want to work with our CUD. It'd be great to talk with you guys. But kind of pushing back a little bit on that because it's all publicly available, and I'm hesitant to provide additional work hours for a company's business development.
Right.
Doing the work for them.
Yeah.
We'll
And
work
if
to
any of
give you
you
money.
do disagree with my opinions, I'm open to that. Please let me know. I will change my tone. I'm trying to be diplomatic. I'm just not naturally inclined.
No, you shouldn't be doing that. That's their responsibility.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Yeah, and two, and you know, when we talk about these partnerships with the neighboring CUDs, you know, Knight might present other opportunities,
Yeah.
you know, operational partnerships. So let's say, you know, CCI covers the middle of our CUD, but the northern and southern ends are, you know, working with partners to the north and south, and we use them maybe for the ISP or rollout or SARE contractors or whatever, you know, like gives us we have some flexibility. You know,
So
And we have,
has the Addison County CUD reached out at all about maybe wanting to maybe get together a little bit? Like, how are they planning on like servicing areas like Ripton and whatnot? Do we know? Have we
they've
heard
been
any-
holding contractor interviews, and they had before that reached out about a cooperation of some kind, but they don't want, it doesn't, our feeling and based on the couple conversations we've had is that they don't want to further those cooperative conversations or operational cooperatives, whatever we're calling them, until they've decided on a contractor, which is a little confusing because I thought maybe that'd be something we would discuss together, but they are aggressively looking at contractors and that's the direction that they want to take. So we will probably know more soon. They might have to sign NDAs before they can meet with these contractors, which is also potentially part of the reason they can't disclose more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the reason we're not pursuing contractors yet is and unless the board feels otherwise, we're waiting to find out what's happening with funding because we have nothing to bargain.
we have $20,000.
Yeah,
Not gonna get that.
no.
Yeah.
That makes perfect
Throw it
sense.
down and that's gone.
I mean, they are going to their local RDC in another town to discuss taking out an RLF loan, but those are incredibly high interest. And I think there's better options both for volunteer time, but also if we're going to go into debt, we really need to be cautious of that lovely interest rate. So we're waiting to see what happens at the state level, because if we're going to be given money, I'd much rather use that and then go from there. So. But as soon as we hear more and we're permitted to share in terms of Addison County or Maple, definitely let you know, Cassandra.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else you want to add on for our other business?
Yes, I got a question.
Yes.
What's the status of our website?
Oh, it's up and running.
Can I have a URL?
I'm
So-
sorry.
I might have missed it. I don't know, but
No, it's up and running. It's occud.org. We also have the outreach tool. However, the occud.org right now needs to be like he's handing over creative control to us so we can do some of the text and post our meetings. Right now, I'm still hosting all of the meeting data, the agendas, the committee minutes, and that sort of thing. And that's got to migrate over to the new website.
so what is that again? Oh, what?
occud.org.
Okay.
We'll send out, Bill, if I have your permission, can I reply all to your
Absolutely,
email
yeah.
tomorrow morning with links to the outreach website and the CUD's website?
Thank you.
And if there's somebody that wants to take over management of that website, that'd be awesome. Only because I manage the town of Brandon website too, and if there's somebody who's got any sort of it's WordPress, and if you're familiar with WordPress, it's fairly easy to use. We've got tutorial videos on how to use it. So if there's somebody who's interested in
I
being
can do that unless
person.
someone else wants to make sure, because we need that. It's important to stay up to date.
Hey, I don't know. Bill's doing a great job. I think we should just let him do his thing.
I don't. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like you get, getting, once, yeah. It would be nice. Just think about people in your community, maybe, again, that we could tap that would be interested, are excited about helping support our mission and don't want to charge an arm and leg to do a website update or want to volunteer. And it's, again, it's just, I mean, it's really data entry and just attention to detail, you know.
Well, I can ask Greg,
Smeela?
if he'd be interested in, doing some volunteer with that, if you want.
I have no issue with that at all. Again, like I said, the date for me, it's So, but and yeah, I'm familiar with Greg. So if people, you know, so to stay on top of that, because that starts getting stale and people start visiting that, you know, and it's stale, then we look terrible. So. Any other business? No. Has anybody gotten anything from Starlink?
No.
I know that some like I've been reading where some communities have been getting some outreach from Starlink. Some of those, so that the RDOF, the World Digital Opportunity Fund auction, Starlink won some addresses within our CUD, not very many, but a few. And so just, you know, based on that like line of the line that those satellites would go over, you know, I didn't know if they were out there sending information or people had signed up to get information from them when it was available.
I've been
those
kind of
places.
following them on YouTube, some of the reviewers, because I mean, I would love to give that a go, but I'm very skeptical with weather. And there's been posters up there that say, oh, what happens when it's really snowing hard, or when the dish gets full of snow, or, you know, because it's like, the last thing that I need in my life is, because I work from home. So I can't be sitting here working and having trouble with their equipment because it's snowing outside and stuff.
Right.
So that's where I get a little apprehensive, because the weather here is awful. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
but I would love to give it a whack, you know, because I just feel like, am I ever going to see? I mean, I'm on this board here, but boy, I'll tell you what, I don't have a real good feeling like I'm ever going to see fiber here. I just get, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I live in a dirt road, for crying out loud. They don't even want to pave that. And
I'm with you, Chris.
sometimes I
Yeah,
just
I'm with you
bad
too.
it's like, okay, well, maybe Elon's can fly some satellites over, and I think they've launched a whole bunch more of them. So
Yeah, they did last week.
So they're really putting a lot into it. And, you know, I think we're going to see that technology way before anything else, you know. But out of the people I follow on YouTube, I mean, you know, they're getting 75 to 100, you know, megabits on the download. And even when it's crappy snow and they're like, it's slowed down to 33 or whatever. And I'm like, geez, and crow, I only get 10.
Kill for 33, right?
I'll take it. So, yeah, I mean, if somebody said, hey, are you willing to invest $500 in the equipment and give it a whirl, it'd be like, yes, I think I would, to be honest with you. And I'd probably, you know, keep my DSL alongside of it until I could prove it out. I did download their app a couple of months ago and went outside with it, and look, you know, standing on a corner of my deck, it looks to me like using their app that I've got a clear shot. I don't have anything in the way.
Nice. I mean, that'd be nice until the fiber rolls by. Being able to have that as an option. I mean, that's
Those
no.
satellites, incidentally, are quite high in the sky. It's not like the TV satellites or the radio. These darn things, you'll be surprised at the angle that you got to hold the phone up. You know, you're like, wow, these things are like, you know. So if you do have a tree line, it, you know, if that tree line's a, you know, several hundred feet away or whatever, you probably are going to look over the top of it, unless they're really tall trees, because I mean, it's that much of an angle.
That's interesting. Well, keep us posted if you hear anything. I mean, if anybody hears anything, we, you know, love to stay on top of that. You know, just see what's going on. And again, like, you know, our mission is to serve everybody in this, you know, in this district. You know, come heck or high water. If, you know, CCI or some incumbent provider comes through and cherry picks all the big regions, then our focus becomes everybody who got missed. You know, like that's, you know, like I mean, that's what we're here for. So,
Yeah, well,
Which is Chris and I.
Elon also mentions that he doesn't want to service areas that have, you know, like if you've got fiber or cable, you're not on, right? He's only really wanting to put this out to people who have absolutely nothing. So, I mean, I think is what he's trying to say is his service is limited in a sense. It's not like fiber. It doesn't have that kind of future proofness. So it really is, they're more for about where you're never going to put fiber. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah, one undersea fiber has as much capacity as the whole enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, setting of our next meeting, we've got a date, but specific because we're going to have a presentation. Amanda.
Yeah, we will likely have a presentation from our consultants, just as another FYI as to what CUDs are, how they work, what's next. So it'll be really good also for new members.
Nice. So, so our next meeting will be February 24th, 5 p.m. Put on your calendar. It's going to be an exciting meeting. Executive committee members, keep an eye out for an email for executive committee meetings. With that being said, and we'll make that fantastic motion.
I move.
Second.
Non-debatable. All those in favor?
I
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for taking the time. We'll stay in touch. Yeah, appreciate your work, and we're going. We're making it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Take care.
everyone.
thank you.
Bye.
Good night.